Hello, Ghosties. I'm Chance Lee,
And I'm Amanda McAvoy.
and this is That's So Gothic, a movie podcast about girls, guys, and haunted houses. Amanda, the film we're going to talk about today is part divorce drama and part Polish tentacle porn. It's Possession.
Yay!
I've completed my job.
That's why we want to rehire you.
It's out of the question.
And what would be the reason for your refusal?
Family.
Maybe all couples go through this.
You have someone.
Yes,
Do you sleep with him?
yes.
How long is it gonna last?
I don't know.
When I'm away from you, I think of you as an animal or a woman possessed, and then I see you again, and all this disappears.
You know, love isn't something you could just switch from channel to channel.
Who is he?
Believe in God. Is he there?
Released in 1981, Possession was directed by Andrzej Żuławski. Andrzej Żuławski. He's Polish. It stars Sam Neill as Mark and international spy and total simp Isabelle Adjani as Anna, his estranged wife, who has like birthed a tentacle monster and is also having sex with it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And Isabelle Adjani as Helen, Anna's doppelganger and wholesome school teacher.
Yeah.
And this is a movie that equates adult divorce with like eldritch horror.
Yeah. One and the same.
Yes. So this movie at the time was a total financial flop,
Mhm.
both in Europe and in the United States. It made 1.1 million American dollars against a budget that was allegedly 2.1 million American dollars. And it was critically like panned at the time, but it was also heavily censored at the time. I'd be
It makes
curious to
sense.
compare and just see what was cut, but allegedly the US cut a third of the movie from
Wow.
it and made it make even less sense, which that I can't imagine. Um, and it was re-released in 2000 with an
Mm.
uncut original version, and then it kind of amassed this cult following.
Mhm.
It currently has an 85% critical tomato
Wow.
and a 78% audience tomato popcorn meter.
Wow, that's really shocking. I thought this would be a lot more divisive.
I did too, but then I was thinking that you watch this movie if you seek it out. This isn't a
That's fair.
casual watch.
That is
Uh,
fair. Yeah.
Sadly, Roger Ebert never reviewed this movie,
Oh.
but on RogerEbert.com, a critic named Michael Oleschik, who is also Polish, this is a conspiracy. He said that the film dares its viewer to enter a trance-like state in which genres blur and mate to yield a new level of cinematic expression.
Oh. Okay.
He also said, even if Possession was once described as, quote, a movie about a woman who fucks an octopus, end quote, There's no mistaking the fact that deep inside, Żuławski's cinema is all about searching for grace.
For grace,
Grace.
I dare to disagree on that one.
This is, again, Polish conspiracy. I don't trust
Yeah.
this. Also, I couldn't find a source for this quote of a movie about a woman who fucks an octopus. All of the articles that I found say possession was once described as, but I can't
No,
find the original article.
no one will lay claim to that.
No. This is
Yeah.
I mean, like, you could definitely find, I'm sure, evidence on the internet of Shape of Water being called a movie about a woman who fucks a fish, but, like, I can't find anything about a woman who fucks an octopus. So, what did you think about this movie, Amanda?
Um, I I liked this movie. I definitely think of this as a vibes over content movie. This was also the first movie I ever saw with Isabelle Adjani. Did I say that?
Johnny.
Adjani. And she is so breathtaking and incredible. I just love her so much. Um, yeah, but I tried looking into this movie a little bit. Um, and by that I mean pretty much I just read Wikipedia. And once I had scenes explained to me, um, I didn't like it as much. I think that this is a good I think it's a good vibes movie. I think it's, if you wanna watch a movie that's gonna, like, freak out your friends, it's a good one for that. And Isabelle Adjani and Sam Neill are, like, so crazy hot in it, and they're both
Oh,
just so crazy people, that it is quite fun, and I do like that the little boy is named Bob. I That brings me a lot of joy. Bob,
yes, there's like 5-year-old son who's named Bob.
Bob, 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 what are you doing, Bob? Always Oh, and there's a great what, like, nationality is there's, like, a boyfriend of hers, like, someone she is actually I have no
Heinrich.
idea. He's, like, German or something. He's great. He's
I
very
loved him, honestly.
he's so dramatic. There's a fight scene with him that is hilarious. He has this crazy mother. He's very enjoyable. I wish the whole movie was from his perspective. Um, but yeah, like I said, I liked this movie. I personally and I get that I think there is an appeal to this movie that people like to analyze it and think about what it means and the symbolism, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you're that person, great, have fun. I find that the more I learn about it, the less I like it and the more eye rolly I get with it. So, you know, I'm just gonna let this one stay as like you know, I'm gonna pin Isabelle Adjani on my little Pinterest board and leave it at that. Like, I don't need to go deeper.
Yeah, I agree with you that this is a vibe movie, but I did
Mhm.
not vibe with it. And it's rare that I watch a movie that I'm so lukewarm on,
Mm,
especially a movie that is trying, I feel like, so hard to be provocative.
mm,
And I think my general resistance, this is like my resistance to stand-up comedy. Like, when someone's trying to make me laugh, I'm like, "Get the fuck out of my face." But this movie
yes.
is trying so hard to provoke a reaction that in response, I have no reaction.
That is, like, such an apt, like, analysis of it. Um, yeah, I mean, something I guess I didn't take into consideration when I was watching this movie is that it is from what did you say, 1981 it was released?
81.
81, like, just coming from a perspective of watching this in 2024 and, I I had just seen The Substance in theaters, um, like, oh man, I'm, very desensitized to it to a point where it didn't feel like this movie, from, again, my perspective, was this extraordinarily lewd thing. It was strange, and there were parts in the movie where I was like, literally, what the fuck? But, I guess when you think of it as being released in 1981, obviously it's, it's gonna get a rise out of people, and very purposefully so.
I want to bring up the substance again later, so I'm glad you
Yeah,
mentioned it now.
perfect. I will use any excuse to talk about the substance.
So before we get to the substance, let's talk a little bit about the cast. I do think that I think both of the main actors are in other, perhaps more gothic movies, so we may have the opportunity to talk about them more later. So I just want to touch on them a little bit. But we do have Sam Neill,
Mhm.
most known from Jurassic Park.
Yes.
And as you said, I had no idea he was so fucking cute.
He's so, like, he has this really wide mouth. He's very cute. Yeah, I know Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. It's, one of my favorite movies, and I had never pictured him young, and he looks so adorable, and I just love him in this.
He has this terrible, almost like bowl cut. But yeah, his eyes are so big too, and
Yeah.
he makes them big when he's acting. He's just
Mhm.
so cute in this movie. I really was crushing on him.
Mhm.
He I guess he has a memoir, which I didn't know. And in the memoir, and then on the press tour for the memoir, he talked a bit about Possession.
Mm.
And he said this is one of the most memorable movies that he's done, and maybe the best movie that he's done. But he has some challenging things to say about the director. So he says that he didn't like him, and what he felt that the director saw as direction was just downright bullying. Um, and then I feel like many people in Hollywood, he says, but he had vision. They
Ugh.
have to say this but. He said, Zalowski asked more of you than you could possibly give. And there were times when he would scream at Isabelle right in her face. And it was distressing to see. And he was forced by Zalowski to actually slap her.
No, Isabel.
And he didn't want to do it. He said, I've
Mm.
never hit another person before. I can't do this. And she said, Sam, you have to do this. You must. And he said, please, Isabelle, do not ask me. I just imagine them acting like they're characters from the movie.
Yes.
And she said,
Very
you
dramatic.
must do it. And so I had to do it. He said, I have to say it was the most distressing thing I've ever had to do on a film.
Oh my God, I feel so bad for both of them.
Well, she had a complete nervous breakdown after this movie and rumored to have attempted suicide after this movie, which is really sad.
Oh,
But even though she never took off in the US,
yeah.
she was a very celebrated French actress. She received 5 César awards, which is the French Oscar.
Oh, wow.
And she was nominated for an Academy Award when she was 19. And for a movie that, of course, I forgot to make the note of what it was, but it was a French film.
Okay.
And she was the youngest Best Actress nominee at the time and
Oh,
held that record for 30 years.
wow. Good for her. I mean, I really like her in this.
She's great. I mean, she goes.
Yeah, she does.
She goes hard. And she says that it took her several years to recover from this role, and that she would have never done this again, and that
Mhm.
she never would have worked with Zalowski again. She
Ooh.
said, Possession is the type of movie you can only do when you're young. She says he's a director that makes you sink into a world of darkness and demons. And when you're young, you're very excited to go there. But she said she felt she got very bruised spiritually and wondered how she even did it after the fact.
Wow. Do you happen to know how old she was?
Let's see. So This movie was 1981, and she was born in 1955. So she was only 26.
Oh, wow. She's just a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, so the rest of her career, she still had very much a career after this movie, I'm assuming?
She's still
Yeah.
acting today, not as much,
Oh,
but she's still in French cinema. She's
oh,
only did like one or two Hollywood films.
yeah. Wow. Good for you, Isabelle.
And it's so funny you mentioned her being so gorgeous because one of the movies that I think we may end up discussing on this podcast is the remake of Diabolique that she is in with Sharon Stone.
Mm.
And I remember seeing her and thinking like, "Oh my God, like no human should be this beautiful."
Yeah, she just like exudes like she's so cool. Like, oh, I just loved there's like shots of at one point there's like a private investigator following her. And so you get these shots of him following her walking around the streets of Berlin, wherever the hell they are. And she's just so cool. I could just watch her walk for hours.
She's great. And so she was born in whatever year I said she was born in, but she's almost 70 now. And she she's one of the people I'm adding to the list of if I ever get famous, I need to call them up and ask who does the work on them. Because I mean, she's clearly had work done, and I fault her
Yeah,
no reason for that, because I
yeah,
would too if I had that much money. But she's had good work done because she looks fucking phenomenal
really.
still.
Oh,
Yeah. Right now,
they should do a French remake of The Substance and cast her.
honestly, she would be great in the Demi
Yeah.
Moore part. And I do think, let's just talk about it now. I do think that whoever did The Substance was heavily influenced by this movie. They
Mm,
have to be a fan of this movie.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, they at least this was on their inspo board. This was on their Pinterest per se.
Yes, and if they have a letterboxed, Possession is one of their top 4 films that they have up there.
Definitely, definitely.
I see it just from what both Sam Neill and Isabelle Adjani said about this director, Andrzej
Mm.
Żuławski. There's a lot of parallels with Lars von Trier. I feel like
Mm,
where because Ajani talks about how he does these movies that are centered on women, but they're at the same time almost abusive towards women. And Nicole Kidman said very similar things about Lars von Trier after working on Dogville. She said she would never work with him again because it was such a difficult emotional experience for her.
wow. God damn it.
I know. So, and allegedly, so there's what everybody calls like the main scene from this movie is
Mhm.
where Isabella Johnny is in the subway and just
Yes.
like gives birth to this flood of blood and pus.
Yeah. And so this was the scene that when according to Wikipedia, I don't know if you saw this, I there was something that said it was supposed to represent like a miscarriage, and I thought it was just, I don't know, goo.
It's really gross, but I also by this point in the movie, I had kind of checked out.
Mm,
And
yeah.
even though she's going to 11 and I give her 2 thumbs up for going to 11,
Yes.
it's ridiculous because her character has no what's happening.
Right. And like, I love ridiculous. Bringing it up again, I love the substance. It's gross. It's over the top. It's nasty. This scene just goes on for way too long. Like, I mean, it's gotta be, am I wrong in assuming it's like 5 minutes long? If it's
It
not, it
feels 5
feels
minutes
that long.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too long for what it is. Um, it's so unbelievable. It's taking place in this like train station. It's like you said, kudos to her. She's insane. She's putting her whole heart and soul into it, but yeah, I just can't.
To me, this is bad filmmaking, like flat out, because
Mm.
I understand keeping the cameras rolling while she's doing all of this, but there's no reason to put all of it in the movie.
Yeah, there are parts of it where I feel like the mask almost slips on her a little bit and she looks exhausted. And you could say, oh, that was a creative choice. But I don't know. There are like split seconds where it looks like she's thinking to herself, are they gonna yell cut soon? Like,
When can I stop doing this?
yeah,
Yes.
when can I stop? And it's very distracting.
That's a really good point that I didn't notice, and I agree with
Yeah,
you.
yeah. She's
Oh,
tired.
I was getting Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. I've talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Mm,
too much on this podcast, but that I was like, the only direction she's given is to say act crazy.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then I found a bit of behind the scenes information that says the sole line of direction she was given was fuck the air,
Oh, poor Isabelle.
which is even worse than act crazy. It's like,
Seriously.
again, this is the line from someone who has no idea what they're doing or just has no regard for character.
Right. Exactly. That is literally the line of someone who just wants to create a nuisance, a scene. Yeah. Ugh, yuck.
The a lot of people compare this movie to David Cronenberg because of the gross monster and stuff. And I feel the same about David Cronenberg. I don't know if I've complained about him on this podcast, but I
Yeah.
cannot stand him as a director. And the cute French girl whose name I can't remember, um, who was in Blue is the Warmest Color. She worked with him, and she said they get no direction from him. He
Really?
says just do whatever you feel like. And I'm like, that's why every single person in his movies acts like they're in a different fucking movie.
Yeah. Yes.
Bad. I disagree. I don't like him. I don't like this guy. I don't like it.
Hmm.
But I do want to give it. I mean, she's also the cute French girl whose name escapes me, um, is working with him on another movie. But
Okay.
also I would too, because you have complete creative freedom. It's like if you get a job where the boss is absent and you get to do whatever you want, like, and you get
Right?
paid for it. Of course you take that job.
Exactly. And it's like a director that you know is gonna put butts in the seat. Might as well.
Hmm. And so I do want to give two thumbs up to Heinz Bennett, who played Heinrich. I love him. He is a daddy
Yeah.
and he is so fucking weird. He practically just like dances around
He
his scenes.
flounces. He flounces
That's a really
everywhere.
good word. Really good word.
I don't think anyone told him that this was a horror movie. I I think he showed up on set and thought he was in, like, a romantic comedy. It was so out of place. It's so good. I love him so much.
I loved him. He's always wearing this white shirt that has like one
Mm,
button fastened. He for his honestly for any man, not just for a man his age, he's very
yeah,
fit. He has a
yes,
very nice physique. Like I honestly like as cute as Sam Neill is, I would also have Heinrich on the side if I was Isabelle Adjani. Like I wouldn't
yes.
want a divorce. I would want both of them. I would be playing both of them.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I feel like they're a good, you know, yin and yang, missing pieces of each other, and they end up having this, like, really weird bro relationship kind of weird thing. Like like Heinrich loves Sam Neill. Like he like wants like it's not like, sometimes the other person is portrayed as like, having this guilt so they need to be like close to the partner that's being wronged. It's not that. He's just like very magnetic towards Sam Neill and it's very strange and I love it.
What I find really fascinating is that, and I only did honestly like 3 Googles,
Mhm.
but no one seems interested in discussing the queer subtext of this movie. Like
Mm.
they do have a very interesting relationship, especially Heinrich feels very sexually fluid.
Yes.
And we have two gay detectives in this movie.
Yes. That's right. There's like a very
Mhm.
prominent gay couple.
Mhm. And the when the gay detective is following her, honestly, that is so funny.
He's so obvious.
He's the worst detective. I
He's
love when he like walks past her and then just pretends to walk up the stairs.
yes. I know. I feel like gay couple is played for laughs. Again, I don't think anyone told them they were in a horror movie,
No.
like, until the last 30 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
they are
Yeah, until they had to die. Then it's
until
like,
they
oh.
literally had to die, yeah, because of some weird tentacle monster.
Oh God. Yeah. So yeah, everyone is in their own movie in this one.
Yes.
So your mileage may vary. But I learned that so Heinz Bennett was maybe a Nazi, but
Ooh.
against his will, he was drafted into the Luftwaffe during World
Oh,
War II, and he was captured by the Allies and spent most of World War II in a prisoner of war camp.
wow. So, let me think. He so he's probably in his 50s or something, would you
Late
say, in this
50s, early
movie?
60s, which
Yeah, so
again,
he was
daddy
young.
quality. Like
Yeah.
he's so cute in this movie. And so once
Yes.
he moved to Switzerland and then started acting like in
Mm,
his like 40s and 50s.
wow.
And he lived in Switzerland until he died at the age of 90. So
Wow.
he seems like a really interesting figure to me.
Right?
And
I
he's
want
very
his
charismatic.
yeah, I want his memoir. Move over, Sam
Mhm.
Neill.
Yes. As much
Mhm.
as cute as Sam Neill is in this, I
Yes.
can't imagine wanting to know anything about him.
No, I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast. I think I've told you. I love reading random people's biographies and things. I'm listening to a really fascinating biography right now about the Bee Gees, who I feel like
Ooh.
they would fit in very well in this movie. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't have a lot of interest in Sam Neill's
No.
memoir. I'm so sorry, Sam.
So this movie is scheduled to be remade, and attached to the project is Parker Finn, who is the director of Smile and Smile 2,
Okay.
and attached to star is Robert Pattinson.
Our Pats.
I I want to see Robert Pattinson in the Isabella Johnny role. I want it to be gender swapped Possession.
Oh my God, I would love that.
But I read this before I watched Smile 2. And
Okay.
I had seen Smile. I liked Smile, even though Smile is the ring. Bad thing
Hmm.
happens to someone, they have 6 days to pass it on to somebody else. It's literally the ring. Um, when I was watching Smile 2, I was like, this guy's perfect to do Possession.
Mm, okay.
Because Smile 2 kind of makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's a vibe
Yep.
movie. I personally vibed hard with Smile 2. I loved it.
Did you see it in theaters or at home?
I wish I had seen it in theaters.
I saw it in theaters and I thought it was way too loud. Um,
Okay, I could see that.
yeah, it was very jump scary. How much do I want to say too? I also was not having a great time watching that movie because of company, and I
Mm,
did not want the jump scares were very upsetting to me because I did not want to have a reaction.
okay, okay.
Yes. But I don't know. See, it's really funny to me because I think maybe I'll have to rewatch because I think I saw Smile 2 and then I watched Possession. Um, I think I would have to rewatch Smile 2 because I'm I'm interested because it feels like such a like colorful, bold movie, and I think of Possession as even though it's like fucking insane and gross and weird,
Mhm.
it's like very gray.
That's
So,
true. I would
yeah,
see it being the remake being almost like a neon Possession.
which I would, you know what, actually, is I wonder if it would be like almost similar to oh my goodness, we've talked about it, with Dakota
Suspiria?
Johnson. Suspiria, like that kind of direction of remake.
I'm really curious because when I first watched Suspiria, I didn't
Mhm.
vibe with it.
The
And
new
then
one?
the original one.
Oh, okay.
And then I saw the new one and I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And then and something about it, I was like, I wish I was watching the original Suspiria. And then I went back to the original and I connected with it. So I'm curious to see how this remake process is going to go. Am I going to end up falling in love with this movie that I do not care for? Or
Right.
am I going to like the remake? We'll have to report back if it even happens. I mean, this is
Yes.
pre-production. Nothing's even been, as far as I know, the only person attached to the project is Robert Pattinson and this director.
Okay.
So it's very early stages, but I really want to see where this goes.
Yeah. I would definitely be interested. I would watch it for sure.
Also, the way he pushes, is her name Naomi Scott, the lead
I think
of
so, yeah.
Smile 2, is very like Isabella John. Like she's at
That's
11
fair.
for a
That
lot
is
of that
fair.
movie.
She was absolutely like her performance was absolutely my favorite part. She is insane. She's crying. She's snotty. She's she's great.
He
And yeah, you're right.
She has to do a lot, and, as a side note, I will say the music, her songs are really
Hmm.
good in Smile too. Like, it felt like Bella Porch to me. I don't know if you've listened to any of
Oh
her music.
yeah.
Yeah, like, I was like, I could see this being like Bella Porch and being in Smile too. Like, that's what I
Yeah.
was visioning, yeah.
My favorite parts of that movie were the performance scenes. So there's a part, quick side note, where they like flip her, like she goes across this line of dancers because they're flipping her like a clock. I when I saw that, I mean, my jaw did drop. I was like, that is really cool. I liked that a lot.
Smile 2 is everything that I should not like in a movie.
Hmm.
It is my least favorite plot line, which is weird things are happening to me and no one believes me.
Yes.
That's my least favorite plot in any movie. Same with the first one. It's very heavy on the jump scares.
Yes.
Half the movie ends up being like a dream sequence,
Yeah.
but I loved it. I don't know.
Mm,
I think because the movie doesn't try to be anything else. I saw it
yeah.
almost as a roller coaster ride of a movie, and also I'm not one to get got usually, but for the first maybe hour of that movie, every single jump scare got me.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, it did spook me for sure. And as much as I don't like jump scares, my least favorite kind of jump scare is just, and there are a good amount of these in that movie, which is why I didn't like it. My least favorite kind of jump scare is loud background noise, not
Yes.
in the movie. Like I think it's so stupid, but there were a couple of jump scares that were actually like noises or things that are happening in the scene. So those were good.
I think
Also,
that's why a lot of it worked.
quick side note, it featured one of my favorite beverages of all time,
Oh,
Boss
wow, you
Water.
have a Voss
I have
water.
a Voss Water. There was a point in my family's life where we only drank Voss Water because my dad was going through a real bougie phase, and he said that Voss Water was wetter water. So,
That should be a tagline.
wetter water. So this water is so much wetter than regular water. So
That's like Dr. Seuss. Sorry, that killed me. I'm dead.
happy I got to bring that up.
Oh my god.
I never would have had another reason to. So thank you, Smile.
You smile too. Thank you, Possession.
One of the first things I said after walking out of Smile 2, this is just a Smile 2 episode now, was I thought that the Voss water would be like Chekhov's gun. Like I was like, that's how the movie's gonna end, and she's gonna smash a Voss water over
She
the
drinks so
demon's head.
much of it.
She drinks so much water and she's so good at drinking it.
Sh- Again, another reason why, yeah, he really pushes her in this movie.
Yes.
She goes all
She
out.
has
She's
to
great.
chug. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, Voss Water, please sponsor our podcast.
Please. Yes, we'll totally. Voss water is wetter water. That'll be our hashtag. Wetter water. Hashtag wetter water. I'll send them an email. We'll see what happens. So let's talk about the gothic elements of Possession.
Right.
We have 4 elements that are important to all gothic films: a girl, a guy, a house, and a haunt. And I'm solid on house and haunt, but I'm curious what you
Mm.
think about girl and guy.
Oh, I'm so curious to know what you think of House and Haunt because that I don't know, and I don't know Girl and Guy.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, I'm just at a loss for all of it. I guess Girl would be Sam Neill's character since he's kind of our point of entry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could say it's Isabelle Adjani's character. You could say it's poor little Bob. Um,
Bob or Helen.
Bob, Helen. I mean, we didn't even get into the ending, and I kind of don't want to because that's where the movie really loses me. But like, there's this science fiction kind of angle where there's clones, and I think it's implied that Helen is a clone or something. I
I
don't
don't know
know.
what's going on with Helen, but I do know that the tentacle monster ends up
Mhm.
becoming Sam Neill.
Right. Right.
Because there was a scene where Isabella Johnny, as I guess as Anna, is having sex with the tentacle monster. But there's an angle where I'm like, is the tentacle monster played by Sam Neill? I think they had him be the tentacle monster in at least one scene.
Oh,
And then the tentacle monster just becomes him.
yes.
Kind of monstrous, but also like weirdly hotter. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Very good.
I did want to talk a bit about the doppelganger
Mm.
and as it applies to the gothic, which is kind of feels gothic to me. We had a doppelganger in Rebecca where
Mhm.
she reminds everyone of Rebecca, the old
Right.
wife. And even though not quite sure if the substance is gothic, there is that doppelganger element to it that makes me
Right.
feel like it was heavily influenced by this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Um, yeah, it's the doppelganger aspect is something I wasn't expecting, I will say. Like I mean, obviously you get it with Helen and Anna, but I kind of just assumed while watching the movie that was like a creative choice they had made.
Yes, me
Um,
too.
and I mean, I guess it's very confusing to me. Um, yeah, very bizarre.
So there's a Brian De Palma movie from 1976, so it predates this movie, called Obsession. And it's the movie he made right before Carrie, which was his breakout film.
Right.
And it was written by Paul Schrader, who's one of my favorite writers. He wrote um Taxi Driver
Oh,
and The Card Counter with hot guy. What's his
yeah.
name?
Oscar Isaac? No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But anyway, I find Paul Schrader fascinating. He did the
Mm.
remake to Cat People, but
Ooh.
he anyway, so this movie does something similar where the main character's wife dies very early on, and then he meets a young woman who is played by the same actress and kind of gets into this whole doppelganger thing in a really
Yeah.
interesting way. And so it made me think of this. I don't know if this director was influenced by it since this was 5 years before that.
Yeah.
This was one of the few De Palma movies that I could tolerate.
Oh, okay.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But yeah, girl and guy are tough because they're so intertwined. It's this, I don't know, metaphor for straight male divorce and
Right.
turning the woman into some manipulative sexual harlot.
Yes. And because there are parts where Sam Neill's character, I mean, he gets violent with her. There's one of the most disturbing scenes is he like really beats her up. Like I was not expecting it. I mean, it's you mentioned it. That must be the scene where he actually slapped her.
Mm.
It's really hard to watch. He's an asshole.
Yeah, this is one of the things where I feel like this is why film bros like this movie because it's low-key
Mm,
misogynistic.
yeah.
It is such a straight male perspective. And
Yes.
to me, that's emphasized by the fact that doing a few Googles for, again, just a few Googles to be honest, but for like gay detectives possession and stuff like this,
Yeah.
like no one is talking about the queer element to this. They're
Yes.
focused on her and the like virgin whore complex because Anna
Yes.
is seen as this slut and Helen is the virtuous school teacher. Get the fuck out of my face.
Right? Oh my God, you're so right. And at least we get to see Heinrich kick the shit out of him. That's pretty fun. But yeah, no one talks about Heinrich and how he's definitely queer coded.
Yes. There
Oh,
was like one person on Reddit who kind of alluded to that I found. And of course,
yeah,
immediately someone disagreed with them. And it's like, no, this one Reddit person is
right.
on the right track.
This this movie is like a marriage story, but written by HP Lovecraft. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. That they should
Yeah.
get, yeah, if Robert Pattinson drops out, just have Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson come back. Honestly, would not be bad idea.
Honestly, I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I hope it
Make it
happens.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson can play Bob. He's already
He would be a great Bob.
be a great Bob. He'd be out in the yard on his little like swing set.
He would be so
Oh,
cute.
he'd be so cute. They could pick him up from school.
And just not mention it at all why he's the same age as them. That'd be great. That'd fit right in, honestly.
Honestly, that feels very on brand for Robert Pattinson.
Oh, yes, he would eat that
Yeah,
up.
he'd do such a good, or he could be Heinrich. I would love that too.
I don't know
Yeah,
if I could handle that. Because I love Heinrich and I love Robert Pattinson.
I know.
I
It'd
would
be too
never
much.
recover. I
Be too
know.
much.
So for the house in this movie, people talk about online the political subtext of Possession and how it is set in Berlin and one of the houses is next to the Berlin Wall.
Mm,
So they have this very modern apartment and then Anna kind of stays in this dilapidated apartment building where the squid creature just like makes squelching noises in bed.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's near the wall.
Right. And it has this enormous door. I mean, the door to this apartment is bigger than my freaking two-story house. Like it's huge. It was so distracting to me. I was like, how can you even open that? It must be so heavy. Um, yeah, it's a pretty cool, spooky, rundown old apartment with a mattress on the floor. That's why film
Yeah.
bros love this because all of their mattresses are on the floor and they feel validated.
There are tentacle monsters on the floor as well. They feel seen. You're right.
They think if that tentacle monster with a mattress on the floor can get Isabelle Adjani, so can I.
Yes. 100%. Oh
We
my
know it.
gosh. She will not give them a second look, though. We know
No.
that. And then so our haunt, we have the doppelganger, but we also have this weird monster.
Mhm.
This monster was designed by the guy who created the alien head from Alien
Wow.
and E.T.
Oh, oh, E.T. I'm never gonna look at his little finger the same way.
Yeah, if E.T. was in that movie, who knows where that finger would go?
Oh no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool career for that guy.
I know, and I do appreciate the practical effects in this
Yes.
movie. I've known about this movie for many years. It's been on my watch list for many years, and I've never sat down and watched it. I had no idea there was a monster in it. I forget what I looked up, and it was mentioned a monster. I was like, "What? A monster? When is
Yeah.
that going to happen? What?"
Right. I really went into this movie super blind. I think it was I had wanted to see it since I almost bought it on Arrow, I think, put out a really cool edition.
Oh, okay.
And I had it, like, in my cart for a long time. It was kinda one of those movies, though, I was like, I don't wanna know anything about it, I just wanna get it." Um, and then I kind of realized that's stupid, Amanda, why would you pay not a lot of money, but, like, a good amount of money for a movie you don't even know if you're gonna like? Um, so I'm pretty sure I ended up watching it on Hoopla, actually, which is a free library service. And I will say I'm very pleased I did not buy a nice edition. Again, like, I liked this movie, I definitely liked it more than you did, um, but I don't feel a strong desire to go back and rewatch it, especially knowing what I know about it now.
Right. Me neither. I'm very similar to you, where the more I know about it, the less I care.
Mhm.
I watched maybe 30 minutes of a YouTube video of a guy whose voice sounds exactly like the voice of a guy who would make an hour-long YouTube video about Possession.
There are multiple ways to analyze Andrzej Żuławski's 1981 film Possession. Not one singular interpretation will answer every question one may ask, and multiple interpretations may lead to contradictions and paradoxes. This is the nature of analyzing this film. Ideas are abstract, and little is certain, especially when pertaining to the nature of spirituality and how it manifests throughout the film.
And nothing about it made me think, that's interesting.
Right, right. Yeah.
I really think this is The Emperor Has No Clothes. Like, there's nothing there.
Mm, that's a good point. That's a good
This
way
is
to
the
put it.
first draft of a script, and they filmed it.
Yes, yeah. If this movie did not have 2 extremely hot people in the lead, a 3rd random hot guy beating the shit out of the other hot guy, it would not nearly be as enjoyable to watch.
It is elevated by the actors being able to do whatever they want, even if it
Yeah,
doesn't gel into a cohesive product.
right. Exactly.
So with all that said, do you think this movie is gothic, gothish, or no gothic?
I'm voting no gothic on this one.
I
Yeah.
am too. I think by the fact that neither of us could really come up with a clear girl or guy, there's
Mhm.
not that sense of being lured. And there's, to me, what's so key to a lot of our gothic films is that sense of being trapped. And
Yeah,
I never felt that in this.
right. Yeah, and, I like that you brought up the point about a doppelganger, like, there was probably some gothic influence, but I think this is a good example of just because a movie has, maybe taken bits and pieces and is clearly influenced by some gothic tropes, the beast does not come together to make a
Right.
gothic movie.
I think there is a Panano at one point.
Is there Oh, I kind of have a feeling it's like Sam Neill kind of, like, playing it solemnly at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, if your Panano isn't memorable, though, it barely counts.
That's even worse. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Are there any memorable scenes we haven't discussed that you wanted to mention?
Honestly, I got nothing. I don't know if you do.
There's one, and that I will say that I thought the ending scene was both stupid and creepy.
Mm,
So at the very end of the movie, Bob, so the Sam Neill doppelganger is knocking on the door of the apartment where Mark and Anna used to live. They're
mhm,
both dead. And the Sam Neill doppelganger is outside the door, and Helen, who's also played by Isabelle Adjani, is inside. And she says, I'm going to go open the door. And Bob just goes, don't open. Don't
yes,
open. Don't
yes.
open. Don't open while he's eating his little cereal. And then he just runs up the stairs while screaming, don't open, and jumps face down into the tub and presumably drowns himself.
Yeah, and aren't there, like, sirens going off? Like, it's
Who
assumed
knows?
I don't know, like, I was getting, like, is it like, I thought maybe a bomb? Like, was I Was it some sort of
Oh, and well, they all just died in
symbolism?
some weird spy shootout with this guy wearing
Yeah.
pink socks,
Yes.
and so maybe the police are coming for that, but I did like the shot of Isabelle Adjani, her back is to the door is made of frosted glass, and the Sam
Mm,
Neill character is in this very kinda creepy, one arm up on the door silhouette. That was a creepy shot,
yeah. Yeah, that was good. That was
but that's all I
unsettling.
got. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
This movie, again, it just feels like some sort of edgelord trying to provoke, and I got nothing to give.
Yeah. Yeah, very fair.
Well, what else have you been watching, Amanda?
Uh, the only thing I've really been able to watch, if you haven't been able to tell throughout this episode, I'm a little bit sick. Um, so I've been throwing on episodes of the Creep tapes, which
Yay!
features, because we've talked about Creep. So
Mhm. Go back,
obviously,
listen to our episode on Creep, that was a fun
yes,
one.
that was so much fun. It's such a fun movie. I love those movies so much. Watched the second one in a long time. I need to go back and watch that. Um, the Creep tapes are so much fun. I definitely recommend them. It's so there are 6 episodes altogether. As we're recording this on Friday the 13th, so the 6th one just came out today. Um, yes. And I haven't watched the 5th one yet, so I've only watched the first 4. Um, but I love them so much. They're so much fun. Um, I was I wouldn't say I was afraid, but, like, retrospectively, like, I'm glad so the first episode is very similar to the movie, to the first movie, Guy shows up at the house to record him and whatever, it's very, very similar. And I don't think I realized how frustrating that could have been if that was the entire series until you see the second episode, and the second episode is a complete departure, like, setting-wise and story-wise, but obviously the same concept. And it's so good because it's different, but it's still like, the show definitely leans into the humor a lot more, which I appreciate. I think Mark Duplass is very, very funny. Again, it would be very annoying if it wasn't him, if it wasn't this show, but I feel like every episode ends on, like, a zippy one-liner, and if it had been anyone else, like, it would be so cringe-inducing, but it's not because it's him and he's like, I'll spoil one of the one-liners, so if you don't wanna hear, skip ahead, but the 4th episode is really cool. It's, Mark Duplass, the creep, um, invites a documentary filmmaker, um, to his home and basically gives this filmmaker the opportunity to, get the inside scoop on him because he's a serial killer. And so he, like, shows him a dead body. So it's like, it's kind of funny, it's, like, kinda meta, um, but anyways, there's a couple of different peppered in throughout, references to true crime documentaries, really popular ones from the past 10 years, and the zinger line at the end of it is he, like, walks out of the room covered in this guy's blood because of course he kills him, and he, like, leans on the door frame and he goes, "They can't all be the Jinx now, can they?" And it's like, again, like, it would be so cheesy and annoying, but it's because it's this show and it's that character. It's so charming. Um, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm so excited to watch the last 2 episodes. I'm probably gonna go watch them tonight. I feel like they gave him a lot of freedom with it. I could be wrong, but it seems like he's having fun and, oh, I just love it.
I'm so glad it's good.
Mhm. Yeah, ugh, I can't re I like, it's one of those things where once I finish watching it, I kinda wanna go back and rewatch it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So
I
that's
love that
my
they're doing it.
recommendation.
It's such a great idea that I never would have thought of, and then when I saw that they were doing it, I was like, "Oh, this is so smart." So I'm
Yes,
glad it's working
and
out.
yes, the theme song slaps. There's a little intro,
Wow, okay.
which is really good. Yeah, the only big downside to it is I don't think at any point, obviously it might change with these last 2 episodes, but I'm pretty sure in these last 4 episodes, I don't think any of them take place in the original house.
Oh, right. Did
Yeah,
someone we talked a bit about that house because it was a real house. I wonder if
it
someone
was
bought
like
the
an
house and then
Airbnb.
they
Yeah,
can't. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There's a house that definitely has similar vibes. But like I mentioned, there's the 2nd episode especially takes place in, you know, I won't give away too much because I do think the 2nd episode especially has, like, a really fun storyline, but the entire episode takes place outdoors. Um, it's about a guy who he films birds, he's like a bird watcher. And it's just, you know, I hate to, like, oversell it, but I think it's just so brilliant how they took this concept and again, like, it's not just recycled same old, but it's still really good and really funny, and the kills are really good. I really like it.
I love that.
Yeah, sign up for Shudder.
Shudder.
Shudder. I do appreciate Shudder. Yeah. Anyways, what have you been loving?
So I listened to Sonny Boy, which is Al Pacino's memoir.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to it from Libby, the library app, and I loved it. I love Al
Yeah.
Pacino. And I feel like if I were to pick up the book, the print version, and open it up, it's gonna be completely different because the
Mm,
audiobook just it's so well done. It feels like you're there. You're like sitting on the floor and Al Pacino is just telling you about his life.
does he
It's
narrate it?
yeah, it's
Oh,
incredible. He's kinda not the best audiobook narrator, but he's the best person to tell his own life story,
yeah.
and, you eventually fall into the rhythms of him. I really love Al Pacino as an actor, and he just seems like such a great, genuine person, such a smart actor. He's very sweet. He will name people when he has positive things to say about them, and he will not name them when he has
Mm,
negative things to say about them, which is
okay.
very kind. And so I have to issue an official retraction on this podcast, which is related to our last episode, where I said that if I could slap one person, it would be Diane Keaton. And I have to take that back. I
Oh,
don't know who
no.
I'll slap instead. But I learned from Pacino's memoir that he dated Diane Keaton for quite a while. And to me, she still seems like a very annoying individual. The stuff that he found funny, I found
Mm,
really obnoxious. So I will say, at least Diane Keaton knows how to read a room. She knows how to charm people. It's just not a room I want to be in. But
okay.
after Scarface, he did a movie that I can't remember the name of that was a total flop. And he got very heavily criticized and he didn't act for 4 years.
Ooh.
And Diane Keaton brought him a script and said, "You need to do this movie." And the script she brought him is my favorite Al Pacino movie, which is Sea of Love. And the fact that if Diane Keaton hadn't brought him that script, we wouldn't have Sea of Love.
Yeah.
I can't slap her. I
You
can't.
can't. Gotta hold back the slap.
Gotta hold back I gotta find somebody else to slap. Maybe it'll
Oh,
be the corpse of Andrzej Żuławski for forcing Sam Neill to slap Isabelle Adjani. I'll slap him in
yes. Perfect.
retribution. But I love Sea of Love so much, and the fact that Diane Keaton discovered that script and brought it to him, and then he did it, I'm just like, "Okay, she's got good taste. I gotta
Yeah.
give her that. She knows Hollywood. She knew he would be a good fit for this." So,
So
but
nice.
the audiobook is great. It's very I feel like anyone could listen to the beginning and the end, like the first couple and the last couple chapters, and really appreciate it. And then
Mm,
the middle part, your mileage may vary depending on how much you like Al Pacino.
right.
Because it's a lot of just him talking about his life. But I loved it. I had never actually seen Scarface.
Mm,
So
I
I
haven't
said
either.
I Well, you're not missing out. It's 3 hours long. It's 2 hours
My
and
God.
45 minutes long. I've watched it in maybe 4 chunks on Netflix. It's
Mm.
leaving Netflix on December 31st. So I was like, I need to just watch it. I mostly had it on in the background. It's directed by Brian De Palma, who I mentioned earlier, who is a director I do not like.
Yep.
This movie didn't make me mad the way a lot of his movies do, so I'll give it that. I think because of
Okay.
Pacino. And Michelle Pfeiffer is such a cunt in it. She's great.
Yeah.
She's hot and mean. Oh, love her.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of a meh movie to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, I highly recommend the audiobook. I don't think I would have enjoyed it anywhere close as much if I had read it. But
Mhm.
he just, again, it doesn't feel like he's reading. It's just, it feels like he is sharing these stories with you. It feels
Yeah.
so intimate. And I loved it. I think he's one of our best actors. I love his current phase he's in where he just gets to ham it up
Yep.
with Quentin Tarantino or with Lady Gaga, House of
Yes.
Gucci, Father, Son,
House
and
of Gucci.
House of Gucci. Like I just love the phase he's in, and it's a really
Yeah.
great book.
Oh, I'll definitely have to check that. Like I said, it's, funny. I brought it up earlier. I love reading and listening to random people's audiobooks, and I especially love it when they narrate it themselves. So that is super exciting. I am really surprised that he did. I feel like he wouldn't have the time for it, but
I know.
yeah, the man makes
It's gr
time.
it's gr he made time, and it's so worth it. I am a very bad gay because I got the Cher memoir
Mm,
on Libby, and I was in the middle of the Pacino memoir. So I switched over to the Cher memoir because it has a longer wait list, and I was like, "Let me listen to this in between," but I went back to Pacino. I'm sorry,
really?
it was more compelling. Cher doesn't read her whole book. There's an
Oh,
actress who reads it, and I wanted to listen to Pacino's stories.
yeah. No, I could totally see, like, because I'm assuming he's kinda like just an old Italian grandfather. Oh, we should ask Luigi Mangione what his favorite Pacino movie is. He
What his favorite
definitely has one. He definitely has one.
I hope it's not Scarface, but it might
Yeah,
be.
it might be. Maybe
If
it's
it's
Sea of
Sea
Love.
of Love, though, it's destined for us to be together.
He's so sweet. Oh,
I'll massage his little like, the screws in his spine, and we can watch Sea of Love together, like
the most romantic thing I've ever heard.
I love him. Um,
No.
well, is there anything else you wanted to share, Amanda?
I think that is a lovely place to wrap.
Well, thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Ghosties, for listening to us break down Possession. You can listen to us wherever fine podcasts are posted. We try to post on the first and third Thursday of every month. You can please give us a review on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate those who have given us the 5-star reviews. And until next time, stay ghosty. Boo bye.
Bye.